Welcome, Degens, far and wide, to another edition of the Degen Docs. That is right, folks. We are on to NFL Week 9, but not so fast. Of course, we've got our Monday Night Football Best Bets preview. It's going to be a little bit show rivalry with my New York Football Giants taking on Derek's Pittsburgh Steelers. And, of course, we're looking ahead with our NFL Week 9. We're talking fantasy football. We're injury rundown, waiver wire targets, and early line locks. We got a show you're not going to want to miss. This NFL Week 9 fantasy football and betting preview of the Degen Docs on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with code SGPNDOC to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. They are also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks, I'm one of your hosts here, the OG Degen Doc, but more importantly, I am joined by my co-host, my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. And you were on quite the Professor Locks, coming off a 4-0 NFL Week 8. How we doing tonight, brother?
Let's fucking go, dude. Had a heck of a Sunday. We got to keep it rolling tonight in the Bird.
Look, everyone, if you don't know, Derek and I, we met in Pittsburgh. We went to school in Pittsburgh, so I do have some love for Pittsburgh. I met my beautiful wife in Pittsburgh. She's a Steelers fan. So it's going to be a bit of a house divided today. Obviously, one with the upper hand. But before we get into that, look, we got Joseph in the chat, keeping it hot and warm. Everybody, welcome, Joseph, and go ahead and drop in the chat. And as we welcome you, we want to say cheers to you good folks. What would a show be without a nice cheers to you people? So cheers to Monday Night Football. Cheers to NFL.
You pulling out the bourbon again tonight.
I am back on the train. Look, PT test is over. I no longer need to, physical fitness. What the fuck is that?
Colors.
Health. Nah, don't need it anymore. Once you pass your PT test, just like the Army way, you get it done and you move on. So, all right, we've got a lot to talk about this show. It's going to be a nice show. Why don't we start off with, I think it's got to be the absolute play of the weekend, maybe the play of the year. Let's start here. If you haven't seen this already, folks, you're going to want to see it from this angle. Of course, we are talking about none other than the Commanders Bears here. Let me make sure this doesn't blare through. All right, here we go.
Here we go. Tyreek, there's a play. Stevenson, the ball is in the air.
My goodness. Here he comes, though. He's going to make the play. Oh my God. Look, we don't need to spend a ton of time on it because I think everybody and their mom is talking about this play for good reason. First of all, let me say that play cashed one of my locks. So I'm going to be absolutely happy. I was a little bit in the dumps after Miami. One of my other locks, they kind of dominated the whole game and then they let it slip away.
Let's go ahead and do this for you.
Yes, I was going to say, I know you're not going to be talking much because you hit everything you gave out, man. You were 4-0 on your locks. I will spend a little bit of time on the bitching hour. I will give the audience some time. If you want to put somebody in the locker, if you want to bitch, look, folks, as we debuted a couple weeks ago, this is your time. Welcome to the official Degen Docs Red Zone Bitching Hour. This is your time. Get it out right now. This is the only time we're going to look in the rearview mirror. This is your time to bitch about any bad beats, anything that you're just like, what the fuck?
Any fantasy guys that you're like, why the hell did I start you?
Yep, maybe Jordan Love with that bullshit groin injury that he was just playing with himself on the sideline. Anything here. Look, I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I'll be honest, after winning my locks on one of that play on a Hail Mary, I'm good, right?
Well,
I'm good with that.
Especially after literally 20 seconds before that, you're like, dude, you're gonna need to get a new host for the podcast. My gambling days are over. I'm officially retiring.
I was going full bitch mode
throughout the day.
Absolute full bitch mode, man. I thought Miami. I was listening to that on the car on the ride home. They were controlling the entire game. Fucking safety, lose on a last second field goal. Commanders felt super good all game. They were
Yep.
controlling, of course, field goals, not touchdowns, like any team's going to kill you. And I just saw lowly start building. They definitely handed it off to a backup center and gave me a little bit of hope. And it looked like they were going to get it. They got a BS PI call in the end zone for Keenan Allen. And then Jaden fucking Daniels, man. Betting on Jaden Daniels is fun. As much as I hate to say that as a Giants fan, for the next several years, he's going to terrorize us.
Yeah.
Betting on Jaden Daniels is a lot more fun than betting on Caleb Williams. I will tell you that.
Oh yeah. I mean, can I go ahead and cash my rookie of the year ticket now? Like, let's go ahead and cash that one in. I mean, at this point, they've gone head to head. Jaden Daniels won.
Yeah.
What more is there to say?
What'd you get that at? Was that 5-1 to start the year?
Yep.
5-1. Yeah, you gave that out. I mean, I don't even know what the live odds are on it, but it's going to be hard to rip that out of Jaden Daniels' hands at this point. Like you said, the head-to-head, it was a huge win, huge boost for the Jaden Daniels Rookie of the Year contest, or Rookie of the Year award there. All right, let's go ahead and why don't you tell us who's on bye this week?
Yeah, so after tonight, the Steelers will be on their bye week, and then the 49ers are also on bye. So just the two teams this week. 49ers looked pretty damn good yesterday. And then we'll see about my Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. But yeah, just the two teams.
All right, folks, you better get in your comments now if you got any gripes, moans, or grimes, because we are closing the bitching hour after we read this for you. Let me tell you about what we got going over here on SGPN, man. First and foremost, you know what? Today's a nice day. Today's a special episode. We'll get into it a little bit more, but it deserves another cheers. So thank you, as always, for tuning into the Degen Docs. If you can do us a favor and head to Spotify and give us a 5-star rating and review, only you can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. So cheers to you, good folks. We appreciate every like, comment, subscribe, view, whatever it is. Look, we're a new show. This is our first season. We're living, we're learning, we're living, we're driving. Send us feedback. But again, if you like the show, tell a friend. As Derek likes to say, tell your grandma, tell whoever you want to tell. We appreciate you. All right, let's get into
before we go away from bitching hour, can I talk about one thing? I have one gripe to talk about. And that is about a prop. And I was 1-2 this past week with props. Devontae Adams and that whole Jets franchise has gone into the dumps up there in New England. That's not what I want to talk about. It's the one that didn't hit about Anthony Richardson. I gave his alt running line at 45.5. I think it was plus 130. He hit 45. On the dot, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about him in the coming segments here. But yeah, there's a lot to bitch about.
Yeah, there was one play. It looks like he opted.
AR.
Yeah, one play. That one play he opted out on might have came back to bite you there. Just needing that half yard.
Yeah.
But as we move forward, real quick, we want to wrap up some of our hits there. Look, we started the week off with Josh Oliver, anytime touchdown at plus 850. We were both on the Rams. We had Kupp to score. We had the Stafford passing ladder. And we really rolled that in, as Derek said. Look, Cedric Tillman, we were pounding the table for Tillman. His ladders went all the way up there. George Kittle, National Tight End Day.
Yeah.
That tight end. Jalen Hurts came through. And again, Derek, a perfect 4-0 on his lock. Myself, 2-2. We both hit a Moneyline dog at plus money. So very profitable week 8 so far. But we're not done, folks, because we are now heading to Monday Night Football, where we have the New York Football Giants heading to the Steel City to take on the Lurs, the Yinzers, the Pittsburgh Steelers there. Look, folks, obviously, as you can tell, it's a podcast divided. Now, one team's coming in with a little bit better of a record. The records are a bit flipped inverse. I'll let you figure out which is which. But we have the New York Football Giants as a 6-point road favorite or road underdog. They're catching 6 on the road, minus 105. Moneyline at plus 225. Pitt laying 6 at home, minus 115. Moneyline minus 278. Over under sitting at 37. At least it was
7.5 now. It's gone up just a tick. At the hook now.
7.5 with the hook now. Okay. All right. As I always do, will preface the show, talk about injuries, things like that, or the game, excuse me. And then Derek will give us his bets, and I'll round us out. So we've got for the New York Giants. Nice thing about this game, not a ton of injuries. So it's kind of nice to see two teams coming in fairly healthy. Really, the injuries that are going to be more significant are the ones that didn't happen this week, but it's going to be the ones forward, right? So for the Giants, Adoree Jackson, cornerback, and cornerback Cordell Flott out. Both kind of backups. They did get some playing time, but they're both out. It shouldn't be a huge loss there. Really, the biggest loss is still Andrew Thomas out for the year. I mean, we saw this team look competent, especially this offensive line, look competent, borderline good with Andrew Thomas in the game.
Yeah.
When he was out last week, it was absolutely fucking pitiful. Absolutely garbage. So he is still out, obviously out for the season. And then you go to the Pittsburgh Steelers side of the ball. You've got outside linebacker Nick Herbig. He's kind of a rotational player. He's out. Center Zach Frazier, he's out. So you got the backup McCormick in there. RB3 Cordell Patterson out. QB3 Justin Fields in that emergency third string role. And they put Roman Wilson on the IR, the rookie who's just not been able to get going because of injuries. That's really it. So again, it's kind of the Steelers offensive line issue. It's really both these teams' offensive line injuries is kind of what we're dealing with. And outside of that, mostly healthy. So that being said, my friend, how do you see this game going down?
Well, a few stats to lead this game off. This is Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the Steelers have had a heck of a record on Monday night. They have won 21 straight in Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. Mike Tomlin is 20-3 on Monday Night Football. Going into the bye, they have won 5 of their last 6. So give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I took them at 6.5 point favorites just to give me a little bit extra cash there. I really don't think the G-men will get a whole lot going offensively tonight. So some props that I like. Give me Darnell Washington over 1.5 receptions. He had 4 last week with the introduction of Russell Wilson to that offense for 36 yards. So I think he'll get at least a couple tonight. I took an alt with George Pickens over 70.5 at plus 125. Give me Cam Hayward to wreak havoc in the backfield and get a sack at plus 115. I do think offensively for the Giants, Wan'Dale Robinson could have a little bit of a day in that slot position. So I took his over 45.5 at plus 125. Let me think here. I did take Danny Dimes rushing prop over 26.5 at minus 120. And then I did go a little bit reverse correlation with, or not necessarily correlation, but touchdowns. So for Daniel Jones, I went under a half touchdown at plus 140. I don't think he's going to pass or throw for a touchdown.
Is that a passing touchdown only?
I don't think he will get a passing touchdown.
That's smart.
And then I took Russ's over, over 1.5 at plus 155.
Yeah. Now, I mean, look, I hate to say it, but I will have to stamp my John Hancock on a lot of what you said. Now, I will highlight the ones I really like, and then I will talk about where I differ a little bit. So first of all, I mean, I got to give you credit for this. You sent this to me earlier, and it just absolutely lit up. Everyone here knows, I love the Foster Moreaus, the Noah Grays of the world, right? The guy, the tight end, or the RB2, the Tyler Algiers, the Bucky Irving before he became, RB1. I love those guys. And you sent it to me, man. Darnell Washington. We saw it last week with Russ. They ran that PA boot with him just slipping it over to the tight end he had 4 catches for 36 yards.
Yep.
I love Darnell Washington in this game. Unfortunately, these cowards over at DraftKings aren't offering any of his really alts. So, yeah, we'll take him over.
He's going to chuck Dante Banks in about the 3rd row. He just, boom.
Look, I definitely love the over 1.5 at plus 155 receptions. I think that's an absolute steal there. I've also got him to score a touchdown at 11-1. And I wouldn't be lying if I said I sprinkled a little bit on his 41 first touchdown. And on the other touchdown front, I do like Wan'Dale Robinson as well. 21 first touchdown, and then 475 on his just anytime. So those are the sprinkles there. For where I think this game's going, unfortunately for my viewing pleasure, I think this game's going under 37. Look, as far as the game goes, I think it's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game. So when you have a higher 6-point spread, I think you can kind of go one or the other there. And the glimmer of hope I have for the season is still there. So I'm not ready to just full fade my Giants, but give me the under 37 there. I think both defenses better than offenses on the field. I like Micah McFadden over 6.5 tackles. I think the Steelers are going to run the ball. Giants are going to be more susceptible, especially if they're playing from behind. Steelers, they don't mind running 3 yards in a cloud of dust with Najee Harris up the middle. And Micah McFadden, Bobby Okereke, I think that they're kind of 1A, 1B with the tackles there. So give me McFadden at the plus money over 6.5. I expect the Steelers. They still got Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator, so I think they're going to run the ball a lot. And then you said the Hayward. I like Hayward over a sack, and I like Dexter Lawrence over a quarter of a sack. Man, yep. He's leading the league with 9 sacks. Yep. As a nose tackle, and you guys are on technically your third string center. I know you say it's really the second string, but either way, you're on a backup center one way or another. Dexter Lawrence, one of the best players in the league. I think for him to get a sack at minus 105 is a little bit of steal in there. Yep. My one other sprinkle play, Tyrone Tracy. I'm going to be playing his receiving yards ladder. Okay. Now, 25 plus yards, it puts 215. 50 plus is as high as it goes at 11-1, and then 40 is around 6-1. Look, Breece Hall was the leading receiver last time the Pittsburgh Steelers when they played the Jets. He had 100 yards there. I don't think he's going to have quite 100 yards, but Tyrone Tracy is an explosive player, man. If they can get him on a screen, if they can get him out of the backfield there, Patrick Queen isn't the best linebacker as far as cover guy.
Peyton Wilson is.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Well, hopefully they can match him up away from the rookie Peyton Wilson there and get him on Patrick Queen. He's going to have to cover somebody unless he's blitzing all the time. But, I like Tyrone Tracy and, Darnell Washington and Wan'Dale Robinson as my sprinkles there for the touchdowns. But Tracy, really, I like his receiving ability out of the backfield. He's an explosive player. If the Giants want to get something going on offense, we're going to have to find big plays. And I think the screen game is something that can be effective. So give me the Tyrone Tracy receiving ladder there as a little bit of a fun sprinkle. And ultimately what I see is a very ugly under 37 game. All right, my friend. Man, I wish fucking Andrew Thomas. If he was in this game, my outlook on life, but my outlook on the season is just so different. It's really hard. We've seen this team without Andrew Thomas. It's really hard to be super optimistic there. So let's move on and let's get to our injury rundown of the week, folks. Look, as to medical healthcare professionals, this is what you come for. This is the expert injury analysis that we talk about here at the Injury Rundown. And, of course, we talk real football, which means we're talking all positions, all 22, baby. So let's start it off here. Let's talk about some of these injuries. And why don't we start with a guy who got me paid pretty well a week ago, Mr. Drake May. Unfortunately knocked out of the game with a concussion. We've talked about concussions plenty on this show here, mild traumatic brain injury. With the way that the NFL is handling them, especially offensive guys, pretty consistently, I think we can call them doubtful. Maybe not rule them out quite yet, but where do you see Drake May?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head with the doubtful tag. Usually, so far, the only guy to note that has played the week after has been Marvin Harrison Jr. Really, he's really been the only one that I've seen pass through from 1 week and then turn around and play the following week. But yeah, like you said, it's been pretty difficult to get through that protocol, get that limited practice on Thursday, full practice on Friday, and then turn around and play on Sunday thus far. But at the end of the day, Jacoby Brissett came in, did a nice job in the backup role this week to get a dub. But we have seen Jacoby Brissett in that starting role quite a bit this season already. Hasn't looked the best.
Not looked pretty. That's pretty.
Yeah, going up against the Titans team that has a pretty good defense that didn't show up this past weekend, but that was partially due to some interceptions and short fields and things against the Lions. But yeah, Drake May, I don't expect him to play this upcoming week, but it's all about, like we've said continuously, tracking the injury reports, seeing if they get that limited tag on Thursday, full practice Friday, potentially rolling into Saturday, but usually it's that Friday practice that we need.
Yeah. No, I like it. Yeah, look, at this point, I think we're safe to say Drake May questionable heading into the week. So we'll see how he progresses. Thursday practice, as Derek was mentioning, is the key there. All right, moving forward to some other quarterbacks. We'll talk about quickly. Patrick Mahomes looks like he rolled his ankle there. Just from where we're tracking, a mild low ankle sprain. Really not a lot of concern. I mean, look, he played most of the game with these ankle sprain there. So not really a ton of concern. Doesn't, based on mechanism and kind of how it rolled, didn't look like high ankles. So
especially he's got a little extra time. They don't play till Monday. So.
Exactly. There you go. Monday night. So they got a little bit better on defense. I know they lost Jalen Watson for likely the season, but Josh Uche, outside linebacker from New England, was a healthy scratch last week. They were saving the merchandise there, making sure he didn't get banged up because they traded him for just a 6th round pick there from the Patriots.
Rich get richer.
The rich get richer indeed, my friend. The other quarterback, Jordan Love. Now, this is one of the big ones here. A guy who had a great matchup, a guy we loved last week, no pun intended. But, he injured his groin and then he came back and re-injured his groin. And that's what happens with groin injuries. They have a pretty decent re-injury risk. And I know the MRI came out and said, my mild grade 1 strain, nothing to worry about, blah, blah, blah. Let's not so fast there. It's still a groin injury on 7 days. Where's your comfort level with Jordan Love? Let's say they do roll him out there this week, like I think is the plan.
Yeah, I think the line is telling the look ahead line is telling us that they're expecting him to play right now. Green Bay they are home dogs to the Lions by 3.5 points. But like you said, I mean, groin injuries in particular are almost like hamstrings. They are one of those major muscle groups in kind of that upper leg thigh region. And anytime we're cutting, anytime we're pivoting, those adductors are contracting, they're stretching, can be pretty painful. So I don't know if I would necessarily have a high outlook for Jordan Love, especially going up against the Lions.
Yeah, no. And honestly, I mean, I kind of, as a way I'm looking to fade them, I kind of hope he goes out there and plays and is limited. I think best case scenario, he's limited and he's at a moderate to high re-injury risk. I think if this team knows that Malik Willis is going to be the quarterback number 1 and can game plan for that all week, I think they're honestly stand a better chance than if they, try to, is he going to play? And then, let's roll him out there, even though he's beat up, and then boom. So one to keep an eye on, but it sounds like with them calling him day to day, we'll see practice reports.
Yeah, and really, they haven't looked bad with Malik Willis. He's been putting up some pretty good numbers himself.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Love, especially with limited mobility, just chucking the ball against that Detroit defense, that sounds like something I absolutely want to take advantage of. All right, let's move along here. Let's talk about Stephon Diggs. Knee injury there. Now, one we're still waiting on, and non-contact knee injury, whenever we're taking longer to evaluate, as we saw with Rashee Rice, usually not a great thing, right? So the fact they're still getting tests done, they're still talking to different specialists and whatnot. It did come out just now before we went live that he's not expected to play on Thursday, which I think kind of common sense there. There's a huge range of possibilities, anywhere from a bone bruise where we're talking about just 1 to 2 weeks, all the way up to, a ligament tear where he's out for the season. So how do you play this one? I mean, obviously Thursday night game, I think we have to immediately pivot in our lineup, but where are you thinking with Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, in the immediate future, definitely pivoting. I am a little worried with this one just because it was kind of a non-contact thing to begin with. And usually we don't come up with like bone bruises and like just minor tweaks and strains and things through non-contact things. A lot of times with non-contact, that is kind of one of those, hey, ACL tear, kind of a thing that pops into my head. Is it an ACL tear? We still have to do some testing. We still have to get an MRI and check things out. But it would not surprise me just based on the mechanism. There really wasn't one, which leads me to believe, hey, it's one of those non-contact frequent injuries, like one of those major stabilizing ligaments.
Yeah, I think the thing that might save him here is he did have a decent amount of knee flexion or knee bend while he was cutting. So, is it closer to a meniscus tear?
Right.
We'll see. Which meniscus tear, we talked about the possibilities there, depending on if they cut it out, a meniscectomy, or if they repair it. I mean, a repair still puts him out for the year, right? So,
right. And even a meniscectomy, he's going to be out for a few weeks.
Yep. So, I mean, it's still wide open for him. And obviously, just start planning if you have him in your lineup. Start planning for definitely out this week and possibly much more. Yep. All right. We'll talk about Christian Kirk, someone who we do have a little bit more of set what we know is going to happen. Broken collarbone, landed hard on that shoulder. First thing you have to do is get an x-ray, rule out if we're talking, did we fracture that collarbone, that clavicle, or is it just an AC sprain? Unfortunately for Kirk, and you can kind of tell by his immediate reaction how much pain he was in, he fractured his collarbone, out for the season.
Yep.
And his running mate, Brian Thomas, picked up I know they call it chest, but really a rib injury, kind of landed on the ball there in the end zone. And this is a little bit one that we've gotten some muddy waters. Report came out and said he was going to, could be out 2 to 4 weeks. And then he and Doug Peterson said, MRI came back clean. He's day to day. So we've talked about it with these rib injuries. These are painful injuries, similar to Jaden Daniels, who just played through one, but not always the case there, depending on how limited the person is. So practice reports here are going to be telling, and really it's going to be that Thursday, Friday. I would expect either way, he's definitely not going to practice on Wednesday.
Agreed.
All right, let's do some quick ones here as we're wrapping up. Hey, if you guys have any questions about specific players, guys, drop them in the chat now. Let's go ahead and knock through some of these as we kind of get moving forward here in the week. But some other ones I want to tell you about. Braxton Jones, left tackle for the Chicago Bears. He, thankfully, nothing major, but knee injury. When he went out, there was a noticeable difference in the offensive line. They had to put the rookie in there, and Caleb Williams had next to no time. Considered week to week, so not anything season threatening, but he's likely going to be out at least 1 to 2 weeks there. Orlando Brown, Cincinnati. This all offensive line was already beat up. We still need more info here on him, so more to follow, but not great that we got an injury to an already bad offensive line there. Look, we see CJ Mosley is a big one for the Jets. Neck injuries can be very tricky. I mean, when you start talking about, structural damage, any type of stinger, nerve injury there, that's where we get concerned. And I got a notification today that he's going to have to go see a specialist to get a second opinion. What's your immediate reaction to that?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that necessarily. I mean, anytime we're talking about neck related injuries that they're holding us out for what looks like multiple games here, definitely a concern, especially for a Jets defense, or just team in general that just keeps spiraling in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, folks. Whenever an injury is straightforward, you don't need a second opinion. You don't need a specialist. When you have these kind of rare, more serious injuries, that's when second opinions get involved. So it is not typically a good thing when you have to do that. So CJ Mosley, a guy who's already been struggling with injuries, was dealing with a bit of a turf toe injury coming in. He's having a tough season, and really he is the leader of that defense there. A couple other guys to speak on really quickly. Marshawn Lattimore ruled out with a hamstring injury. They already lost Paulson Adebo for the season, or he's going to be out at least a significant time with his leg injury there. However, Derek Carr is expected to be back this week, so thankfully we don't have to watch Spencer Rattler try to throw the ball anymore. So that's good for all of our viewing pleasure. Any other injuries you want to speak on before we move on here?
I don't think so. No, I think the big ones we've already touched on. There are definitely some guys that we didn't touch on today. But in the meantime, throw them in the chat. We can either come back to them or will give us some ammunition come Thursday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's go ahead. Ooh, look, folks, hey, we were drilling this in here as far as we were running a contest, and it was our road to 100 subscribers. So we want to 3 cheers in one show. Cheers to you, good folks. Appreciate you getting us there. Actually hit it last episode. Got all the way up, sitting at a little bit over 100 subscribers. So thank you, folks. And of course,
greatly appreciate it.
We are men of our words. So it is time.
We've got to give away some money.
We've got to give away some of our boss's money. That is absolutely correct. Hey, it was pretty simple. You subscribed, you took a screenshot, you filled out the information. Although 104 of you beautiful people subscribe, these are the only people that really filled it out. So we're going to, that's who gets on the wheel there. So unfortunately, if you did not fill out the form, we told you a million times. So, hey, life has consequences. So these are our potential winners here. We're going to click it live, and you're going to hear all the music and the fun. And once it picks the winner, we'll contact the winner, and we'll go ahead and get you up with a $100 SGPN gift card. All right, let's get this thing rolling.
Let's do it. So freaking excited.
Keith. All right. Keith Miller. Keith Miller, you are our winner for this $100 Road to Subscriber. So we will write that down on the show sheet there. Congratulations to Keith Miller. We are going to be reaching out to you via email, and you are going to be able to get $100 for SGPN gift card to join us in our quest to take down corporate gambling. All right, folks, look, we really appreciate it. And look, we've hit 100, so what's 1,000, right? Before the end of the season. Hey, so we'll keep on that train, but enough of that. Let's tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, they've got pick'ems of all different sports. They got NFL, college, MLB, MMA, NWA, NASCAR if you like left turns. And Boostober is upon us, which means you're getting a spooky amount of profit boots and much more. You can now use specials and boots on all flexed entries. And look, sign up with promo code SGPNDoc to get a 50% bonus up to $1,000 and a special pick on your first time deposit. Hey, we have the amount of times we have come one pick away from these clips has been absolutely ridiculous. And we went 2 for 3 again last week. We're ending the mojo right now. I told Derek, I said, look, our teams are playing. You give me one Steelers pick. I give you one Giants pick. We're getting out of this underdog mess. So here is our play. I will let you, I know you already spoke to it, but give out your side of it. I'll give out my side. And this is how we break the underdog curse.
Yeah. So one, for the listeners out there that are just getting this in 5 minutes before game time, if it doesn't hit by a yard, this is Sebastian's fault. I told him Darnell Washington higher than 7.5, but it is now higher than 8.5 receiving yards. He had 4 targets last week. He had 36 yards. There's definitely a little bit of a connection between Russ and Darnell. So give us higher than 8.5 receiving yards.
Yep, and just sounds like you're not confident in your pick, fucker. But on the Giants side, give me Dexter Lawrence, Mr. Sexy Dexy, with an NFL-leading 9 sacks on the season, higher than a half sack at Spicy. This was plus 1.28, I believe, or 2.6, one of those. It was spicy, and it shouldn't be, because Dexter Lawrence, not only is he playing out of his mind, he's playing up against a backup center.
Yep.
And Russell Wilson, not quite as mobile as he used to be. So that's what we're going with. Dexter Lawrence, higher.
A couple behemoths.
Yeah, really. Higher than a half a sack. And then Darnell Washington, higher than 8.5 receptions. Or excuse me, receiving yards. If he gets 8.5 receptions, that'd be quite the ladder. All right, folks. Let's move on here. And let's talk about this week's Warriors and Wussies.
Who do you want to take tonight?
I will take the Warrior because the Warrior cashed me out very nicely this week. So why don't you take the Wussie, my former Florida Gator?
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I will. All right, I'll go. I'll go first.
Go first.
All right. Our Warrior for this week, the Degen Docs Week 8 Warrior is Mr. Jayden Daniels. Look, definitely played through some pain. We saw it when he took that shot to the ribs there. Rib injuries are tough, man. Coughing, laughing, turning. You're going to feel it. And every time you throw the ball, every time you torque and have that rotation, you feel it. And especially when you're getting hit there. He put the team on his back, over 300 yards, 52 yards on the ground, one touchdown. He was so aggravating for this team for the Bears, because every time they had him in 3rd and long, it seemed like he made a play. You know, whether there was nothing there and he just created with his legs. So Jayden Daniels, I salute you. Cheers to you as our Degen Doc Warrior of the Week.
On the Wussie side is a guy that we talked about a little bit earlier, but Anthony Richardson did something yesterday that I don't think I've ever seen before and will probably never see again. But he checked himself out of the game, I believe in the end of the 4th quarter. Basically, he said, I ran too much as the starting quarterback, the face of the franchise, basically the CEO of that offense. Hey, tap on the helmet, get me out of here. I can't take another snap. So Joe Flacco steps in there on third down, hands the ball off, doesn't end up doing anything, stops the drive. But Anthony Richardson, before that even, I believe has one of the worst completion percentages this season. He was 10 for 32. 10 for 32 yesterday, completed less than a third of his passes for 175 yards. He did get a touchdown, but he also threw a pick. This is like me as a professor saying, hey guys, I know you have an exam next week, but I'm going on vacation for the next 2 or 3 classes. Just go ahead and read through these on your own. And then, testing you over those 3 or 4 days later. I don't understand this. I don't understand how he just doesn't have a clue that he is the face of that franchise, or at least he should be. But the Colts and Shane Steichen have already come out and said, "Hey, we're looking into things. We have Joe Flacco here. Anthony Richardson is still here. Let's see what happens over the next week."
Yeah, no, I mean, look, whenever you're on the list with Tim Tebow and Jamarcus Russell, as far as completion percentage, it's tough, man. Anthony Richardson, as much as the fantasy community loves him, I watched him for 4 years at the University of Florida. He's just not an accurate quarterback, and he never will be. So I think you just got to live with that fact. 10 for 32 is in borderline disgusting stat line. All right, let's move on and stick in the fantasy space because we're going to talk about our waiver wires. So why don't you start with our 2 quarterbacks, and I'll round us out. Who are our NFL Week 9 waiver wire targets?
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Bo Nix and that Denver Broncos offense. Bo Nix is coming off of 20-point performances in 3 of his last 4 games, going up against the Baltimore Ravens defense that just gave up over 300 yards to Jameis Winston, and the Cleveland Browns, who hadn't done anything offensively basically the entire year. Now, this is obviously a great matchup against the Baltimore Ravens and that pass defense, but moving forward, Bo Nix, for those of you who don't know, he does have some legs. He can move the ball on the ground a little bit, does pop it in the end zone, rushing, which always boosts up those fantasy points. So Bo Nix might be a little bit of a long-term play as well. Matt Stafford definitely looked a little bit different once he got all of his weapons back last week, going up against a Seattle Seahawks defense that, again, just is not real great through the air. So Bo Nix, Matt Stafford, a couple guys that you could look out for if you have Brock Purdy, or you just have a quarterback that may just be struggling to this point, like an Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Seahawks, we're going to get to this, but I'm convinced the Seahawks aren't a good team. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm just throwing that out there. All right. Cedric Tillman. I don't know what I need to tell you because I told you last week. I told you this. I told you on the props.
You've already told him.
I tried to tell you guys, look, Cedric Tillman, he was the leading receiver the week before, and then he was the leading receiver this week with 2 touchdowns. So hopefully you picked him up last week when I gave him up at a prop, but if not, he's got, look, Chargers are a stout defense, but they've got some beat up secondary there. Tillman's going to be able to take advantage. Gabe Davis, what other receivers are left in Jacksonville? You got Christian Kirk out for the season. Brian Thomas potentially out. Gabe Davis, against the Eagles secondary, we expect the Jags to be down in that game to be needed to throw. And then Cade Otton, no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. He's become the clear number 1 receiving threat out of the on that passing game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So those are your official Degen Docs NFL Week 9 waiver wire targets. All right, let me tell you about some of our friends over at BetUS. That's right, BetUS, bet with the best in the business for the past 30 years. Easy deposit with cryptocurrency and lightning fast playouts. U.S. players always welcome. BetUS live with their trick or treat on Horror Street. From now until Halloween, BetUS is offering daily promotions and a raffle entry to win a sports or casino prize pack. They will give away on October 31st. Enter multiple times. You get 1 entry per $200 deposited. So go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. And then Rhythm. That's right, folks. We can't get out of this show without telling you about models. And we're talking about sports projection models there at Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money line, spreads, totals, and props. So build your own or copy one of the top performing models. Yes, you too can own a model today. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks, we are on the last part of our show where we tell you a line that we think is so juicy, we've already got money on it. So why don't you give out your early line NFL Week 9 betting lock?
Yeah, so let's start with the Detroit Lions going up against the Green Bay Packers on the road in Green Bay, but favored by 3.5 points. I think this is a smash spot because of what we've already talked about with the Jordan Love situation, as well as the Detroit Lions are just a solid team. I don't think I've seen a more complete team to this point. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs are undefeated, the Ravens just shit the bed against the Browns this past weekend. The Lions just keep putting it on teams. So giving the Lions at -3.5. Give me the Eagles at I believe it was -7.5 against the Jaguars at home. And then what was the other one that I was looking at? The Chargers as 1.5 point favorites up in Cleveland. I think the Chargers offense has started to show a little bit more, even through the passing game over the last couple weeks. Justin Herbert has kind of found his rhythm, if you will, as well as J.K. Dobbins on the ground. So give me the Chargers at 1.5 point favorites. This is already starting to move. It was 2 before the show. Now it's down to 1.5.
There you go. All right. What I am on for next week, give me the Dallas Cowboys on the money line +120 against the Atlanta Falcons. Look, my formula is pretty simple. I'm going to bet against 3 teams that I don't think are very good. So the Atlanta Falcons, I think, have been a very, very fortunate team to play a lot of beat up teams and to have a lot of things bounce their way. Dallas is getting Micah Parsons back, and they also should be getting cornerback either Deron Bland or Kalen Carson, if not both. I think that helps that defense there that actually played pretty well. And I think CeeDee Lamb and Dak are going to figure it out, and they're going to get it together. Really, again, it's just a fate of the Falcons there. Also, Detroit -3.5. I will be on that on the road in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. I understand it's a tough place to play. It's a division rivalry game. But we talked about Jordan Love. I'm pretty pessimistic as far as he's going to try to go out there and play limited, potential for re-injury risk, or he's just playing on one leg against that stout Lions defense. Lions, they were my Super Bowl pick to start the season. I'm not going to get off that train right now. And then the Rams, laying 1 on the road in Seattle. This Seattle team, even though they started off 3-0, I was trying to tell everybody they're not as good as the record seems, and they've quickly fallen down to earth. Rams obviously got back Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua coming off extended rest there. As they get healthier, I think they're going to be a real threat in that division. It's a huge game for that division, and I think the Rams get it done with Matthew Stafford carving up that defense there. So that is the early line locks. Those what we like already for the show here. Do you have anything for the good people before we get out of here?
Go Steelers.
All right, let's relax there. Okay, as long as you keep it under 37. Look, folks, we appreciate any likes, comments, subscribes. Follow us on all the socials there. If you want the most up-to-date stuff, you definitely want to follow on X. That's where we'll get up there. But we've got it all. Whatever streaming or site you want to use, we got it. Look, the whiskey's getting a little low, and it's time to go watch my G-Men either make me have a lot more out of happiness or straight depression. So we will see. We'll see how hostile it gets. But hey, folks, we really appreciate you, as always, joining us. We appreciate you getting us over 100 subscribers. Definitely nice. It feels good to break through that first barrier. We're coming for 1,000 next. But hey, folks, we'll be back Thursday night live, 7:15. We'll be getting much more into the sports betting side, telling you about all the things we love. Remember, Derek's coming off a 4-0 lock week, so you don't want to miss that there. All right, folks, you know what they say. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. All right, folks, from us here at the Degen Docs, we will see you on Thursday night. Let's go Giants. What's up, Degens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army.